All right, when Barker comes on, I can do. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Edu Talk. Now, Edu Talk is a program that is put on by the Education Taskforce in JDTAN network to highlight educational initiatives, educational talks, educational philosophies, the thinking mind right across the diaspora. So Edu Talk is very engaging, and it's geared towards teachers, geared towards principals, students, parents, everybody in education. So it's not limited to anyone. I am your host, Dr. Dwayne Dice. I'm the chair for the Education Task Force, Jamaica Diaspora Education Task Force in JDTAN. And I'm very, very happy to be joined this evening with a few stalwarts in education right across the diaspora. We have with us from Jamaica, Mr. Damian Henry, and he's a principal, and he's a principal for Mitchell's Hill Primary. And I'm
Yes.
going to talk a little bit about himself in a little while. And also Mrs. Camilla Walsh Reynolds, and she's the principal for BIOS. That's how you pronounce it, Mrs. Reynolds?
It's boys content primary and infant school.
Okay, boys content, and that boys content primary and infant school is in Clarendon. So
St. Catherine. We are on the board of St. Catherine. Yes.
Oh, I stand corrected there. It's right there. Okay. All right, good. And Mitchell Hill is in Clarendon. Yes?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
All right, cool. So now so we're gonna get into some discussions here with the principals. We have also with us Mr. Javon Miller, and he is from Polyclouds. He is the inventor, so to speak, of Polyclouds, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. And also my old friend here, Dr. Miguel Barker, and he's just calling in from Oman in the Middle East. Welcome, Dr. Barker. We're going to get you to talk a little bit about yourself too, we open up the program. So let's get started. Today's focus on the program is education in a virtual setting, moving out of COVID, leading educational change into this whole activity of guiding students and teachers and by extension, our parents in education. What are some of the things we put in place to cater for students' learning, how we communicated with parents moving through the summer, and now that we have started school in Jamaica, what are some of the things that we have seen happening over the past 2 to 3 days in our educational experience? So those are some of the things we're going to talk about, and then talk about initiatives that can be implemented in the virtual platform as it relates to education and educational growth and educational change, some of the things that we really need to tap into as we move forward in a new era as it is. Okay, so let me get our panelists to introduce themselves, and then we get started. Let's start off with Mr. Damian Henry. Tell us who you really are in a short sense, Mr. Henry.
My name is Damian Henry, not Damian.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
My name is Damian Henry. I'm the principal for Mitchell's Hill Primary, a deep rural school in the parish of Clarendon. We are located in the hills. Mm-hmm. We are a small school. We are a small school, but we excel in almost everything that we take part in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Did you grow up in that area?
No, I joined a few districts apart.
Okay.
I'm new to the role of principal also.
Okay.
I started working as a teacher at the Rock River Primary School.
Mm-hmm.
I acted there for 4 months.
Oh, okay.
School at which I'm at now, Mitchellsville Primary, during my 4 months at Rock River, they lost their principal due to sickness.
Oh, okay.
Right, and I was encouraged by my education officer along with my board chairman
Mm-hmm.
to move forward.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, all right. That's very good. So I'm very glad I'm talking to you as you're not really new in leadership, but new with the
Right,
title
right.
principal. So
Yes.
that's very good. Very, very
Yes.
good. Okay, thank you so much. Let's go over to Miss Camilla. We're not seeing you so clearly, but we're gonna get you to talk and then fix your camera. The camera is kind of blurry, but introduce yourself and then we're gonna get it fixed so that you can be very clear. Go ahead, please.
Okay, my name is Camilla Walsh Reynolds, principal at the Voice Content Primary and Infant School since September 1, 2017. I've been an educator for over 20 years. I've taught all across the different schools, Spanish Town Primary, St. Catherine Primary, Horizon Park Primary, and I'm now in the position of leadership.
Okay, good. So you have quite a few school experience right there under your
Yes, sir.
belt. Yes, thank you so much. All right, so go over. I'm gonna leave Dr. Barker for last year, by no means least. Mr. Miller, introduce yourself.
Um, Thank you. Pleasure. I'm
Yes.
Johan Miller. I am the founder of Polycloud Interactive, which is a gaming studio that uses new and emerging technologies to create unique learning solutions. We're new and we are hoping to make a positive change throughout this this very interesting time throughout the pandemic. And I'm very happy to be here with you, wonderful people.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Miller. Very good. Okay, so we're gonna talk to you in a little while as well. My brother and comrade, so to speak, Dr. Barker, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Many people around the diaspora know you very well because you have been on the program quite a few times. I'm talking about education. Education is your passion. So tell everyone a little bit more about yourself so that they know who you are again.
All right, good morning, everyone. Very good morning. I literally coming from the east, so I think in Jamaica times, I think I'm 9 hours ahead of what's happening in Jamaica. So I'm in Muscat, Oman. I am a born Jamaican. I'm from St. Mary, and not to be St. Mary. And if anyone is from St. Mary, they'll know many of the schools I'll perhaps mention. So I attended St. Mary High School. And then I did my teacher's college training at Pasley Gardens Teachers College. It is now called KISS.
Oh, okay.
A number of years teaching in St. Mary, and then I went on to the University of the West Indies, started a number of schools in Kingston, and then I did a time in the UK, did 10 years in the UK, and now I'm teaching in the Middle East. At the moment, I am an assistant principal in an international school. And what I tend to do, I'm involved in a number of projects internationally, working with some of the organizations that have been leading learning and transforming the lives of children across the world. What I bring from time to time is just an insight. I'm fully aware that my context is different, but one of the strengths that I think I have is the ability to look for solutions in Jamaica that are contextual. And so hopefully in this discussion, I can add some value. As usual, it's a pleasure to be on Edu Talk with Dr. Dice and exchanging ideas and learning as well. Thanks.
Yeah. Very good. Yeah, we're gonna share some deep stuff. Yes. All right. Let's start off. Mrs. Reynolds is taking care of the microphone, so we're gonna come to her second. We're gonna start off with Mr. Henry. What are some of the things you look at coming in as a new principal in the school? Things that you look at, strategies that you put in place, maybe physical structure, certain strategies you put in place leading up to school year?
The COVID put a spin on everything. COVID put a spin on everything. The plan was to, because we were really planning and preparing for face-to-face. Reason for that, as it relates to me, as I said, we are in a remote area.
Yes.
Access to internet is a no-no.
Yeah, okay.
The access, it's a farming community. Because of that, majority of the students majority of the parents students won't have a device to work with. And I'm not talking about computer, tablets. I'm talking about phones. Majority of them have what we call out here a banger.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What is a banger?
A phone that does not use, you can't use, it does not make sense to use service on it because you're able to access the internet.
Okay.
One of those, you don't have touch on it. Right.
Okay.
I changed. Because I was preparing for face-to-face. I had some work done to the physical plant. I changed a few doors because the doors that were on the school has been there from the establishment of the school. And that's like 60 odd years now. I've changed a few doors. Since I've been there, I've ensured that we got a new bathroom from Food for the Poor and it's up and running because we constantly using pig plastering.
Yes.
We're gone now to flush toilet.
Oh, very good, very good.
Yes. I ensure that all the requirements of the ministry, both the Ministry of Education and of Health, I was in the process of putting majority of them in place for September/October. But because of that, I have majority of the equipment in school, but I'm still holding on a bit before I start. Because as I said, the community is small, and because the community is small, everybody from within the community uses the school compound.
Oh.
Right. We are not fenced, so because of that, the entrance towards the schoolyard itself is fenced, but you can easily walk on the small playing field and just go up in the school, anywhere in the school.
Oh, wow. So are you?
We don't have securities nor anything like that.
I understand. Cause it's a community school.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh man. So what have you seen so far with, since there's no internet access? How do you reach students starting the new school year?
What I asked my teachers to do, as I said, we're small, we are a multi-grade school. So there's only 4 of us there. Myself make 4, 3 teachers plus myself 4. I teach grade 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. What I asked my teachers to do is to call the numbers, because when we're doing registration, we have to take a contact number for all the parents, to call all the numbers that we have and ask the parents directly if they will be able to be on we only one platform we can think of, and it's the WhatsApp.
Okay.
And WhatsApp is just video links, voice messages and text messaging.
Right.
Because of that, however, we have to also hold back on the video links, because if we do send a video link, it's going to take forever to load.
Yes, yes.
So we have a class for an hour. You send the video early. The possibility do exist that the hour elapses and the video will not load all now.
My goodness.
That's the situation.
Wow.
Yes.
So it's just just videos you're reaching out with, the videos, or
no. The ministry. This is where the ministry comes in, and we haven't yet received anything, but we were promised that they will help us with learning kits.
Okay.
What I did, I spoke to the parents and I let them know that we will be doing drop-offs.
Okay.
2 days out of the week.
Yeah.
So we drop off and we pick up. We're supposed to be doing diagnostic testing now, and majority of the schools have started, but we have not yet, because we have not yet received the hard copies. The school.
What's the total you have in your school population?
I have 48 students.
48 students. Wow.
Right.
So that's not too difficult to deal with. from to secure stuff for them, in the community. So something needs to get done with that part to move them forward.
I spoke to the member of parliament, and I asked him if it's possible for him to assist us where internet is concerned.
Yeah.
He told me that he will try.
Yeah.
He will try.
Yeah.
But for now, we are way at the bottom of the ladder.
Yeah. Oh man, what you can do still is to move to a strategy of copying papers and give it to them, drop them off. Okay.
Right, that's how the
And
job
then
is.
pick up. How often do you drop off?
No, we're planning because this week is the first week. We
Yeah.
really sensitizing the parents along with the teachers and let them know the procedure that will take. All of that will begin on Monday. So we're going to do drop off on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Okay, and then you pick up during those time to return. Okay, okay, all right. Okay, cool. Mrs. Reynolds, is this the case in your experience over there?
Okay, sir. We are located in the hilly terrains of St. Catherine, but that's not our case. What we're doing as we speak is that we're using all three approaches. All right, so what we have done, we had started engaging our students as of September 14th.
Okay.
So we wanted to get them engaged, get them back in the mind frame of school teaching and learning. So we are currently using 3 platforms for the school. So that is the Google Classrooms. So all classrooms, all teachers have set up the Google Classroom. This platform enables those students who may not have the internet access at this time. They can always go to the Google Classroom whenever they have connection, and they can access the activities that was done. We're also using the Zoom platform, where that platform is used for teaching and learning, as well as a Google Classroom. I was this morning engaged in a grade 5 lesson with the teacher and the students. And we use the WhatsApp grouping for all classes, where the students is like a refresher for the students, where the teachers now use this platform because we realize it is one that is mostly accessible. So you find that this is where all the group activities are placed, all the workbooks are placed. Also, the ministry had informed us that we should give out the workbooks that were sent to the school for term 1. So those were distributed on Monday. So the parents came in and collected those textbooks. So those children who may not have access and not being able to be a part of the teaching and learning during the days, what we have, they have the books, and the workbooks are given out to each child, and then they are able to use them to carry out the activities on a daily basis. So we have a structure in place, right? So our lesson plan, our school schedule for this week and continuing for the online learning platform is that of 8:30 to 1:30 p.m. that the students are engaged on a daily basis. Yes.
Oh, so that's very established structure you have there. How many? What's your population over there?
We have currently 154 students enrolled.
Okay. 54. And you, how many you have access to so far? Like percentage wise.
Based on what we are seeing on a daily basis, it fluctuates because you know that the internet access you have, but we currently have about 70% of the cohort being engaged on a daily basis. Yes.
Okay, well, that's not, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
I wish I could say the same.
Yes.
Oh God, we're gonna try see what we can do to fix it. You cannot continue like this. Okay, so there are strategies that we can use in online learning, and I want Dr. Barker is going to put on a Jaminar next Sunday. Listening, Dr. Barker, as an administrator, what do you hear, and what can be done to fill these gaps, so to speak, from your area?
Well, thank you, and I lift my hat to the principals and what they are doing clearly in a very, very difficult situation. I really want to commend both Damian and Camilla for the work that they're doing, you know, despite the lack of resources and some of the insurmountable challenges that they certainly are facing at this time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also very cautious in providing solutions, so to speak, because the context in which I currently work is certainly not similar. But what I can say is that that kind of resourcefulness is going to be what is needed. You know, I'm shuddering to think about how do you organize online learning without having online access. You know, and I'm trying to figure out as well, with teachers not trained per se in delivery of online learning and organizing instruction around online learning. I wonder how that is working. What I've seen as well, Dr. Dice, is also a need for parents to be fully involved in this process and understanding what their expectations are in this part of the process, because school has always been a place where parents drop their kids off or at least send them to, and then they get on with work and pick them back up in the evening. Now school is going to require a lot more parental involvement, and we also know that many of the parents may want to be involved, but they just cannot be. So now there's a lot left on the child to also figure this out. So I think there's a lot of work that I feel that you will be thinking about this, our young principals here. We're thinking a lot about how to involve students in the process to understand how different this is and what the expectations are. Parents, how different this is and what the expectations are. And certainly I am confident that there will be conversations with teachers about the newness, the difference, the different kind of approaches that will be needed to impart learning from a distance, because it's different. There's a different pedagogy around it. And even the idea, I was doing some reading today because of the seminar I'm going to do, and because I'm doing a presentation tomorrow night at a university in Canada about the pandemic. And I'm beginning to infuse what's happening in Jamaica. So here's the thing. I don't want people to underestimate this idea of using WhatsApp as a feature to deliver learning internationally.
Yeah.
But the fact is, don't underestimate it. It is an area of real technological innovation. And teachers in Jamaica need to start seeing that they're actually forging a new pathway in how we deal with the pandemic for countries that don't have the resources that others have. And I'm reading a number of research about the effectiveness of WhatsApp. And so it is a legitimate way of addressing a problem that cannot be just treated as it's a problem. And so I want people to see it as, okay, what are the strategies that we can use given that we have to use WhatsApp? Because it is a legitimate way of running learning. And I hope to share some of the research that I have been reading about WhatsApp as a legitimate tool for instruction in distance learning scenarios, you know. So I really want to commend you guys for leading the way on that. And I'm actually listening as a part of my own research to hear some of the strategies that are being used, because I really want you to see this as not as a negative, but really as a positive, because the pandemic opened a lot of opportunities. And I think we need to be aware that this is something that we can contribute to the world as well. So I'm here to document that.
Okay, yes, very, very good. You mentioned something that is very important, which is WhatsApp. When we talk about WhatsApp, we talk about videos and the call just to personalize it. But you're right, taking it further into education and call it a tool for education is very good. I want Javon, you talk a little bit to introduce your program, what you have there for education. Just tell us a little bit about how you come about your program and what it is. What is it really for schools?
Okay, gladly. Good afternoon. I need to first commend everyone here. on the excellent work that you all have been doing, especially as educators during this time. You know, well, we at Polycloud formed an application called STEM League, and what this application aims to accomplish is to create a bond between the parents, teachers, and children, meaning each of the three bear an equal responsibility as to the child's learning, right? And in the past, we have put a lot of focus, as to what Dr. Parker brilliantly said, a lot of focus on teachers, and assume that teaching is it. I send you to school and that's all there is. But unfortunately, that is not the case. Parents need to take some responsibility. So as a result, this application tries to bridge that gap by creating games that children would enjoy, and then report cards that parents and teachers can look on and then evaluate whether their children are doing well or not. So that is essentially STEM League in itself. Self-sustaining, does not need the internet. So you only need the internet to download it and view the leaderboard, but minus that, it's all on them. And what we hope is to create a system where, again, teachers can rely on parents, so that teacher can say, Mrs. Brown, Michael isn't doing well at addition. It would be really good if you could just let him do 3 or 4 missions in addition. Michael can do it. The parent can look and say, okay, you're doing a good job. And then that report can be sent to the teacher, so that everyone is up to date as to that child's progress. So that's essentially what it is.
Essentially what it is. Okay. Yeah. We're going to ask you a little bit if you can share. I don't know if you're going to share your screen in a little while to show us what exactly it is. Okay. And when we come back to you, good. So, Sir Henry, and I'm opening up the floors now for discussion. What do you think you can sustain this for the long haul with the drop off and the picking up and so on, if you don't get to the point of internet access?
For how long? I don't know. For how long, I don't know. But for now, with the help of the ministry, I should be able to, because the ministry will be supporting us as it relates to printing of the documents of the kits. And all I will be responsible to do is to put them together and take them to the respective point to drop off. So with the ministry's help, I should be able to cope.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see what happens in the short term with that, because you really need internet access
badly.
Not seeing students online or in person, it's defeating the purpose. It's really defeating the purpose. Yeah. Mrs. Reynolds, how do you communicate with parents?
Okay, what happened is before we were projecting based on the increase in the numbers here in Jamaica, that school would not have been open face-to-face. So what we have done, we had called grade meetings to prevent the crowding on the compound. So after we had our grade meetings with the parents, we actually told them the plans that we have. Because as a small school, we're planning for face-to-face and an all-day setting. But because of the onslaught of the increase in numbers. So we had met with our parents, start getting for them to get engaged, knowing that, listen, this may happen. So before you purchase a textbook, ensure that you get a tablet for the child. So we had already had that meeting with our parents. So we started a little test run on the 14th of September to see how many of our students were engaged. And now we did a full rollout come October 5. But one thing I want to add though, the ministry has done their training and they have a platform, Mr. Henry, where the LMS platform, once you get on that platform, it doesn't need any data or internet access. So that platform can be used for the teaching and learning. So we are currently in the process. On Thursday, we're going to be having our common planning time with our teachers. We're going to be meeting to discuss how we're going to engage the students using this platform, where each child was given an email address And
Yes.
there will be a training tomorrow led from the Ministry of Education. So the parents themselves will also be trained. Teachers were trained and administrators were trained using this platform.
Good, good. Do you see, as young principals in the system, both of you, do you see the need, a greater focus? Does it need a greater focus on teacher training as it relates to these platform or technology in general, or were we equipped as to some degree?
Yes, there is the need for teacher training, especially for some of my senior teachers. They
Yes.
shy away from the
Yeah.
ICT,
Okay.
even though the new curriculum have given that platform where teachers need to, integrate the ICT in the lesson planning. So what I did as a young principal going in, I ensure that my teachers make full use of the ICT in teaching and learning. So this kind of, we were already there. It's just a disadvantage with the students not being able to access, because if you have a class of 22 students and you only have 16 engaged on any particular day, then of course, we don't want any child left behind. And
Right.
what is happening at this point, that some students are being left behind because of the lack of internet access.
Right, right. No, that I'm gonna come back to the gap because they're left behind in a little while. I want Dr. Barker. Dr. Barker didn't mention, he's trying to hide it, but he has a seminar coming up on Sunday, and for the diaspora, and I want him to share a little bit about it. It's assessment, Dr. Barker, in distance learning environments.
Sorry, let me unmute myself.
You're unmuted.
Oh, I'm unmuted, sorry.
Yeah.
Remember to press the button. Yes, so it's interesting because when I agreed to do the Jaminar on so it's called Assessing Students in Online Learning. I was coming from the perspective of the world that my world, my life world, which is one where the majority of students have access to internet, and the majority of students have the right kind of device to access the internet and experience learning as full as possible. So when I was thinking about it, was coming from that perspective. Having had a number of conversations with teachers in Jamaica, I realized that the reality on the ground, and even this session right now, is certainly demanding of a more contextual response. So my Jaminar will be very much looking at the situation where the majority of students are accessing the internet and accessing learning using a mobile phone, which is in itself a research of research interest, because this is not normal in the world. The majority of students may not be able to access learning in a synchronous manner, and teaching may not be possible to deliver synchronously. So there's that question that many places in the world ask: should it be synchronous and or asynchronous? Doesn't really happen. It may be something that will be considered from the perspective that you do it and then they get it when they have access to the internet. And you also have to consider what modality they'll access this. So at the moment, my conversation will be really about being creative and what's happening in the world in terms of how this is being applied long before COVID and post-COVID, or intra-COVID, if you want to call it that, because that's really where I want to put it. I really want teachers to start thinking deeply about, I want to bring the question of how can we further, first of all, legitimize the fact that WhatsApp is a legitimate way. I want to raise this from something to say, boy, we only have to use WhatsApp, or they only have mobile phone, and just say, listen, here's an opportunity to show the world that we can. And it's not to say to the ministry, don't give us the resources that we need, but it's at the end of the day, as Camila mentioned, we don't want to leave any child behind. But it's also an opportunity for learning, because we all went to Teachers College and did instructional technology. And when I did instructional technology, it was with the cartridge paper, and using recycled materials to impact learning. We know that learning is a lot more than technology. So, and to be honest, as I said in another forum, a pen is technology. So we just have to have that open mind. And my conversation with people will be about, in the end, we're trying to assess learners, and being creative is trying to figure out how can we find out what they have learned, and that should inform the teaching process. So hopefully in that seminar, I can, raise the kind of questions that leaders can go back to their teams and say, how can we answer this in a meaningful way? But certainly the ministry needs to look at real, and it's not easy for the ministry to equip everyone with everything that they need. This is really going to be based on the prosperity of the country, and not necessarily, because there are still other pressing things that are out there. So I hope that it will be fun and enjoyable.
Yes, it's true. So we're looking forward to it. But I want to thank you very much for highlighting those areas, that the fact that we're in the gutter, so to speak, right now, trying to work our way out. There is a way we can use the resources that we have until better come, basically.
Until better come.
Yeah, until better come. Javon, you ready? I want you to take us through, because the reason this is we're highlighting Polycloud is because, and the initiative behind it is because of the access, the offline access to it, that you don't have to have internet all the time to use it. But tell us about the grade levels or age that you have resources or content on there for.
Gladly. So currently we have for grades 2 and 3. We decided to take that approach because some children, when we were doing tests on it for the grade 4 level, we realized that some children who are in grade 4 were not necessarily at the grade 4 level. So it is not only it's not only a practice tool, it's also a teaching tool. So we designed it to be at the beginning. So even if it is that you're at grade 4 and you don't really understand the concepts, you can always go back and move forward. So it's for those levels. And it has some psychology behind it to really bring the confidence up of children, because one of the things that we found is children in Jamaica are brilliant. It's just that they don't have the confidence really to, and we all know this. If a child had a confidence, he would be a star, right? So that's really the grade. So it's grades 2 and 3, and we're starting it from there.
You're gonna increase it as you go along. Once you get more content to push it in. So this is it's a sort of video game with math content and the math standards that are linked to it. Okay, Javon.
Right, allow me to share my screen.
I want everyone to take a look at it in its true colors.
Okay, so right now this is just a video sample of what it is, but so we have, if everyone can see, this is the homepage, right? You're supposed to be seeing yourself. This is the homepage, and our partners are the Jamaica Diaspora Education Taskforce. On the application, there is a leaderboard, which you need the internet for, but you don't have to have access to it, and it refreshes every week, right? At the end of every week, their names are said on a radio show. So you have 2 categories. You have challenges and you have reports. Report Plus is where you can have access to the child's what they have done, how they've done it. But I'm going to play the video and explain each way. So these are the topics. You have groups, number, values, additions, clocks, multiplications, and fractions, among others. And I'm going to play a sample of it.
Okay.
Right now it's void of sound, but if it is for simplicity's sake, let's say it is a very interactive textbook that gives you live feedback as to what is going on using an algorithm that creates random numbers, right? So it is not every time they play it, they will get something different, right? So this is the radio show I had mentioned, and we're going to go into something else. This is clocks. We did clocks because we realized that a lot of children do have a problem with understanding the clock. So we have a really basic setup here where they can manipulate a clock, and they should actually match the time. Sorry, I went out a little bit soon. They can actually match the time on the clock, right? So eventually, this is a time that is shown on the analog clock, but this will disappear and say it's your turn, and then the child would have to figure it out on their own. If they don't, they can always go back and restart it, and then it's really for you to interact and learn and play in a safe and fun environment. So that's the preview for now.
What is the
there's more.
What is the battery for at the top with the percentage on it?
Oh, gladly. So the battery is it runs down. It's you can't have a challenge without a challenge. So as time goes on, the battery decreases. So it is now a race against time for you to let me see if I can start it up.
Complete, yes.
Right, complete the task within a specific time. Right, and then that is how also you get your points. Because again, as I said, it's a magic triangle. So this is the fun part for the kids. The point system is where you get to say, what is their understanding? If they have a high enough points in there, this section here would have a star system to show their progress and how quickly they've done a certain task. If they've completed 20 tasks for the week, and you can set the tasks. If they've completed 20 tasks for the week, the star system would be full. So the parent or the teacher can simply see and say, oh, okay, you've done enough work for the week to prove that you understand this concept enough. And I'm okay with that, right?
Okay.
And yeah, and these are the topics that we have so far.
Unlimited, the questions. How many questions do you have in there to finish the task?
Oh, so we actually said that right now it's 10 questions set before our task is complete, and it is registered as okay, your task is complete and finished and over. Each question is, again, it creates a random algorithm. So this is 215. Next time it will create 320. It's random. There's no set.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So I mean, and there's a lot more. It's just.
Okay, that is pretty good. Pretty good. Tell us about the access to it for schools. How can schools access it?
Okay, so right now we're doing a dry run of it. So right now you can search in the Google Play Store for Math Fixer or STEM League or Polycloud, and you would find it there. And you can download it, and you'll have access to all of it. Right now, it is a link between ourselves and the task force to give parents and children, again, that magic triangle, the tools. Because right now, again, we can say that you teachers are fighting against, a battle of equipment. So right now we're going to give you tools that would augment your skills to allow you to properly deliver your content, and not only deliver it, but also inspire children to want to learn. Imagine if it is that you go to a school and the children want to learn something, your job is 3 times easier, or I would imagine, right? So, or they're ahead of you, right? So that is that to bring out that within them. That's what ourselves at Polycloud and the Jamaica Diaspora Taskforce, especially Education Taskforce, are very passionate about to try to bring out in children. So.
Yeah. Okay. Principals, what do you think about it? Just by seeing it. You think it's good?
It's a wonderful initiative.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. Students, my students would have a field day. Yeah.
That's lovely to hear.
Yeah. What's the size though to download it? What's the size from Google Play Store? It's
36 megabytes to download it, but the online storage on your phone needs to be 100 megabytes. It's a difference in RAM and RAM, but you need 36 megabytes.
Okay.
And right now, and also for rural areas, there's an initiative that we're working on right now to try to create a actual device that maybe Mr. Henry, you might seem very interested in, that can bring content to them. You don't need a smartphone. We're Jamaicans and we think outside of the box a lot of times. So we're gonna hopefully we can have a conversation with you about that soon.
Okay.
The other thing I want to ask you though is in educational sense, is how if students are on that playing the game and doing whatever with that to increase their performance in math, how can teachers and principals track their progress?
Good question.
Mm-hmm. No, you're muted. You're muted.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. Excellent question. We have something called the Report Plus system, which allows. Sorry, give me a second. Right. So this is a sample of the Report Plus system. So this gives an idea as to the topic that the child has done and how many times they've successfully completed each topic. So it's not as though they can go in it and play a few, lose, and then that is it. No, they have to completely dominate and master the concept or answer 10 questions correctly in a row in order to get one of these points, right? So now you know, okay, they've answered 10 questions correctly, and that's good enough for me. Or if you're not feeling that they've done enough clocks or they don't really understand
Hold
time,
on,
you can tell them.
I'm not sure if you're sharing the right page.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
No, I'm not.
No.
Oh wait, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Give me a sec.
Yeah, and then you can talk about the tracking of progress with it.
Right. So I'm not sure. It should have been sharing the right screen. Are you seeing our clock right now?
Okay, yeah, the clock is there now. Good.
Okay. All right. So this would be a sample of the Report Plus. We're seeing a blue screen with some yellow writing on it, I hope.
Yeah, challenges completed. Yeah, groups and multiplication.
There we go. There we go.
Okay.
Right, there we go. Wonderful. So this is the sample of the Report Plus system where you have an idea of what it is that the child has done and how many times they've successfully completed it. And again, successful completion means answering 10 questions correctly. So once I answer 10 questions correctly, then they get a point to this system, and you can see, okay, within groups they've done this, or within addition they've done this, right? And remember, it is not simply just answering questions; they have to answer the questions correctly. So that's one way in which you can track. Another way to track is via the star system. And as I said, you can set how much questions you want them to complete in order for them to have a full star array here. Once they have a full star array, for example, in multiplication, they have a difficulty in multiplication. You can tell them to practice multiplication constantly. Once they have a full list, then you know that they have a fair, I would say strong, but I'm going to go on a limb and say fair understanding of multiplication, because you have to have the questions, you have to answer the questions correctly.
Okay.
Right.
Very good, very good. Okay, so that's it, the initiative we want to highlight from Javon, Mr. Miller there. I want to talk about a few things more before we come to the end of the program here, and this has to do with questions for our principals. What in terms of personnel, who have you contacted outside the ministry for assistance? Have you contacted anybody at all, or businesses or other people outside the ministry?
I have spoken to my member of parliament. Yes, and he told me that he's going to try and assist.
Yes.
As I said to you earlier, I just hope it is earlier, it is sooner rather than later.
Right. What about you, Mrs. Reynolds?
Okay, we have contacted our past students to see how best we could source some tablets, especially for those students at the grades 4 to 6. Because as you're aware, the ministry is only providing tablets for students who are on the PATH program. So we really want to have all our students engaged. So yes, and we're in need of a printer to assist with learning kits. So a
printer?
Yes, we need a large printer that can manage the large printing in bulk to assist us with the learning kits for those students who are not able to be online engaged on a daily basis.
Okay, to print stuff for them. Okay. Is there the kind of assistance moving forward? You mentioned that we need data moving forward continuously, like everybody else need data. Is there anything else you need in terms of assistance moving forward other than data and printer and so on?
As it relates to me, as I said, I'm from a farming district. Majority of we have a chosen few who do have the device to work with. Of the 48 students that we have, we started the WhatsApp conversation. As a matter of fact, my teachers call the parent, and for this week so far, today is Wednesday, going into Thursday tomorrow, the most students that we have had coming on stream is like 18 or 19 of the 48.
No, okay, that's less than 50.
And that's something that we're used to from last school term. Right, that's something that we're used to.
Oh, so we need to do something about that. Okay, I hope somebody is listening that can tap in here. Okay, now my other question is relating to teacher training. What are some of the areas in which you think teachers need training? Apart from, of course, technology, they need technology training to go on Google, the Google suite.
To monitor the different platforms.
Yeah, apart from that, what else do you think they need training in? Let's start with Mr. Henry and then Mrs. Reynolds.
The truth of the matter is, you know, our teachers in this day and age is because of the time that we're living in, not talking about the COVID now, we're mostly moving out of the chalk and talk thing and going into, we have to be using the use of different devices. So it would be ideally if and when they see it fit to have different workshops for different areas as it relates to how the teachers go about delivering their selves to the students. You see, take for example, even the same math here where Mr. Miller has a program which could assist. We would love to have something like that, but in fact, we would also love to be guided on how to use. Right.
Okay.
So the thing we really need assistance in.
I got you. Yes. All right. We're gonna talk some more about it. Mrs. Reynolds, what do you think? The training apart from technology training.
The training that I would love for my teachers to be engaged in is that of assessing the students, using these online platforms as an assessment tool, and not only that, but also to analyze the data and data collection.
Oh, very good. Yes. That's very good.
Oh yeah, agree.
We all need that. We very much in education all need that continuously. Now, before I'm gonna ask Dr. Barker just to summarize here in a little bit, but I want to ask. This is very important because I grew up in a rural community too in Jamaica, and I've seen what the lack of delivery and so on, educational opportunity can do to students. It's very, very important that we do not leave students behind at any point. What do you think are the implications for students who maybe we're leaving behind? You think, Mr. Henry?
You see, nowadays, students, my students at my school, let me be realistic and frank. My student at my school, they love school. So you see, the fact that they're not able to attend school in itself, it's a problem. Majority of them would love to be on the different platforms. Because they are not able to, it's added problem.
Right.
So it's leaving them behind now. All we're telling them to do, remember I said to you, we're from a farming district. All we're asking them to do is to follow their brothers, their uncles, their grandparents to the bush.
Mm-hmm.
And when they go to the bush, they farm all different things. I won't even say it on this platform,
Yeah, I understand.
if you understand what I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah, totally
Yes.
understand.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
One of our
Wow.
major challenges with the parents is that they are not able to assist the students
None at all.
academically. And that in itself is a grave challenge because even though, yes, you have them online and
Mm-hmm.
they are engaged in the different platforms and the printed materials are sent home, the supervision is not there at home that we would love. And not
Right.
that sometimes the parents themselves can't read, so they're not
True.
able to assist the students in the way we'd love for them to be assisted. So we can't wait for our students to be back with us so we can provide that face-to-face teaching and learning because we know that once we have them, we can work the magic and work.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are
Yeah.
looking forward.
I
And
agree,
one
I
of us,
agree,
because
Mr.
with
Lance.
these small schools in the rural areas, sometimes I'm sorry that we make informed decision as to a one size fits all. But in the
Yes.
schools, we could, because even with my school setting, we
Mm-hmm.
could afford the face-to-face
Yes. That makes two of us, miss. That makes two of us.
have engaged.
That
So,
makes two of us.
that is the thing. We don't want them to be left behind, so we can't wait for this pandemic to be over so that our students can be back with us in the teaching and learning space.
Okay, so we need to find a way to reach the parents. We need to find a way for them to bridge the gap between school
Mhm.
and home for the time being. Yeah, you guys put it really really well. In terms of the way that it is, the reality on the ground
It's a
is,
fact.
yeah, it's factual, very fact. We can't go around it and talk any way different. Dr. Barker, um, the strategies you have grown up in Jamaica, similar to all of us, and you have seen this, but not in the pandemic era. Do you see further strategies that can be implemented?
It's maybe ironic that even though we're in the pandemic, you
Yeah.
know, it is true that the more things change, the more they remain the same.
Mm-hmm.
Jamaica has always had a very inequitable system, like many countries in the world that's coming out of post-colonial leadership, post-colonial setups.
Right.
And what the pandemic did was not necessarily created this inequitable situation in terms of access to resources, in terms of access to the internet, in terms of access to professional development, in terms of learning and who gets learning. This has always been the case. Even in Jamaica right now, this conversation is only true for certain places which are deep rural and all that. If you move into certain school communities, it's an easy switch to go to
Mhm.
this.
Mm-hmm.
So there's more than one Jamaica and has always been more than one Jamaica. And my mantra has always been that until we really fundamentally look at the system itself and really address those inequities, we're going to always have to deal with it. But the more things change, the more they remain the same. There's always been an achievement gap for boys and girls. That's not, the pandemic will only push that further because girls find it much easier to stay on task, less unsupervised than boys. So that's going to be pushed a bit further. There's always been an achievement gap for people who had access to internet. The
Mm-hmm.
pandemic
Research.
is
Yeah.
only going to make that bigger. Yeah. But that
Yeah.
achievement gap existed. There's always been an achievement gap based on parental involvement. And certain communities, the communities where there is success, there's a lot of parental involvement. And in the communities where the students struggle, parental involvement. The pandemic didn't make it happen. Now
Mm-hmm.
we're seeing this and having this conversation that maybe for our students to keep up, their parents will have to be more involved. But there are many communities where this was already a given in Jamaica. We're not talking about even outside of the world. The pandemic had always had a problem for people who had not necessarily internet, but better resources. Their parents were giving them toys to play with that would encourage learning. Their parents were giving them apps to play with that would get them to develop independent thinking and capabilities. The pandemic will still bring these together. I've always likened the system that we have is one where a plane took off with 100 people on it to land at a particular point, which is the cohort of students at any one point. And there is an accident, which is our education system. Yeah. And 10 people walk away from the crash and say, look how good the plane was, because I survived. And
It's a serious laugh. Yeah.
in every year, our system identifies the top 10% that is performing everywhere in the country and send them to the best schools, and then leave the other 90% to figure out survival. And because you and I are the few of us who went to the top quality schools, come out and say it worked for me. Why didn't it work for you?
For you,
And
true.
so everybody's looking at the wreckage, but because I am a survivor, I can happily look at it and say, but because you never study harder, because your parents never care, because your parents buy shoes for you rather than this and that. So my point is that parental involvement has always been an issue, but the pandemic allows us, it provides a promise, it provides a possibility for a future engagement that perhaps would never have happened if the pandemic didn't come, because a lot of our parents believe that school is a separate entity. Send them to school and it will work. We also have so now we're asking questions of parents and say, can you be more involved? And parents are saying, maybe I could, which in the past they'd say, after me not teacher. The second part of it is that teachers now will have to shift a kind of focus as well. One, include the idea of parental involvement as part of how they design learning, and ensure that parents feel that there is a pathway for them to be involved in terms of you have to think about how do I engage parents in this process. It's very, very important. And not only saying, I tell you, because there's a difference between a failure in communication and a communication failure. You can send something home and nobody reads it. But that is a communication failure. And when you have a communication failure, it is systemic because everybody is happy. I sent it. I don't know why anybody. There's a difference between, and then a failure in communication is when you don't send it at all. You don't send anything and they don't know. But both of them are real issues. But the difference between the systemic failure is that organizers, administrators can fix it. They can ensure that what we send is received and acted upon. So the final piece to this is that our students, so I've gone through the parents and how this has changed. I've gone through the teachers and how their mindset will have to change. And I'm putting administrators in that in terms of how they shape that conversation. But students, our students, we are still a society that is, even when we talk about learning, we talk about pedagogy, but there is another aspect to learning, which is about, where we talk about management of self-managed learning. It's a term that's not used a lot, a term that's called heutagogy. And it's where our learners will have to move to another space where they need to manage their own learning. You see, they are not equipped for this at all. We can tell them to turn on the computer and follow the lesson and do this, and then we have the communication failure. But the reality of it is that when we meet with our teaching teams, the conversation needs to move towards what skills are we going to focus on in order for our students to be able to be effective in this new environment. The fact of the matter, again, is that when we leave this pandemic, those skills are still going to be needed. You see, this is not a solution for now. It's a solution that should have been there. Students need to be taught social skills. They need to be taught thinking skills. They need to be taught communication skills. They need to be taught even research skills, information literacy, because now we're going to ask them to go online and do many things with us the present. So I'm shaping this because I want us to look forward with it and realize that this new engagement that we're asking, this triangle that should be existing, and we always talked about it. Now we need to strengthen the vertex of each of these triangles and the sides so that the information is flowing one way or the other, but not where it is in a pyramid, but more like lying down on the floor where each of the parts are all equal in this. And for that to work, you're going to have to create the forums administrator where parents can say, what do we, it means you might have to teach your parents as much as you're doing your what's it called, your sessions for your live online for students. You might have to do one for parents and say, This is what you're going to have to do. And with the kids, you're going to have to start thinking deeply as you design a learning outcome. Which skill are we going to explicitly teach in this session? You know, I'm going to teach them to read something and pick out whether they should use Wikipedia or this or that. And I'm going to teach you how to do it. Don't assume that they can. I could go on and on, you know me, Dr. Dice.
But you touch on it.
I want you to think
Yeah.
about the triangle, you know, deeply.
Yes. Yes.
And how we can strengthen each vertex of that triangle to ensure that no child, I'm going to quote Camila here, no child is left
Behind.
Behind.
Yeah. I thank you so much, Dr. Barker. Well said. I'm glad we're recording it because we can go back and take substance out of this. It's very, very good. And I'm hoping again that somebody is listening and willing to step forth and help. Could I give helping hand where it's needed? We're gonna go around the room here because there's one last word that you want to leave with people out there listening. What is one thing that you want someone to take away from this sharing this evening? I'm gonna go around the room and ask you to share. Sir Henry, go ahead first. You on there, and then of course Mrs. Reynolds.
Okay. My last words here. We're small, yet we're here for a purpose. I would really love for some form of help to come from, I don't know where, but we really need, in dire needs. And anything is, with Christ in the vessel, anything is possible.
Mm-hmm.
We really need the assistance. And I'm talking about not for myself nor my teachers, but for my students. My students, they're there, majority of them, they want to be a part of the different, or WhatsApp group, but it's not possible. And it's not possible for more than one reasons.
Mm-hmm.
We have no device there, lack of internet access. Most of the times you have to find like a one tree to climb or a one spot up in the hill. Right? Because I've been there, I went up there and I have like in one of the adjoining communities to the school, we have like a set of students there having their sessions up on top of a hill and in the church veranda.
Mm-hmm.
That's where they group that because that's where they get a bit of signal. So we need help.
Okay.
I don't know what kind of help it is, but we're really looking forward to some form of assistance.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for sharing, Mr. Henry.
No problem.
Yeah, Mrs. Reynolds.
We are now living in the new normal, and it's going to take all hands on board to make this work. So I'm just saying to the parents, don't worry. You know, we just need your collaboration. Just continue to work with us, you know, as we continue to nurture our students. At this point, we have to put our students' needs first. And I'll say to you, invest in your child today. Try and get a tablet for a child because it is the new normal. And we have to get them learning and have to get them in the teaching and learning process. And once we get them teaching and learning, we know what is going to, at the end of the day, we are going to be proud of the results. So I'm just want to say to my parents and to Jamaica and to the World Wide Web that, you know, it takes more collaboration than ever before. And we just need all hands on board to make this work.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Yes. Somebody's listening. Javon, how can they access Polycloud program?
Well, it's on the Play Store, so they can search for Polycloud Interactive. And after searching for Polycloud Interactive, it should be among the listed applications. It's called the Math Fixer or STEM League. It's there for you to use to your heart's desire. So please use and abuse.
Yeah, and it's basically free for right now. Yeah. It's free. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna have subsequent meetings, Javon, to highlight the technology features. Okay. And of course, Dr. Barker, we will do this again very, very soon. We'll see you. And there is another Jaminar that is coming up on Sunday, apart from Dr. Barker's Jaminar on assessment in the distance learning environment. There's another one is community and school partnership, as well as the professional development subcommittee in the Jamaica Diaspora Education Taskforce. Those two groups or subcommittees, they are putting on a Jaminar on Sunday to talk about parents' involvement, the connection between school and home. And the director for the professional development subcommittees, Miss Tasheka Winter, she's coming on Thursday night with me to do the Google for Parents Jaminar. She's gonna be on with that one. That's tomorrow night, actually, at 7 o'clock Jamaica time, 8 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So stay tuned for that. Everyone out there on Jamaicans.com, I want to thank Jamaicans.com for this opportunity. JDTAN Network and the Education Task Force, we're live every other week, so every 2 weeks or so, we're live with Edu Talk, diaspora engagement on this, talking about education right across the diaspora, initiatives, gaps we're looking at. We're wanting to talk to people who can fill gaps as much as possible, and want to highlight those areas of our community that we, quote unquote, have probably been forgotten because of where they're located. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming on tonight, Mr. Henry,
Yes,
Mrs.
yes.
Walsh Reynolds, Mr. Javon Miller, and my dearest friend here, Dr. Miguel Barker. We will see everybody next time, okay? Take care, everybody, and have a great night and morning for Dr. Barker. Have a good day. Take care.
Right.
Bye-bye.
We're good. Take care.
Yes,
Bye.
bye.